Hello, this is Daniel Santos. Welcome to my channel. And today I want to talk about a very important topic. I want to talk about cell phones utilization by kids, social media, how to protect them. So let's go. So I made a decision, my wife and I, we made a decision, and I'm not saying by any means that's the decision that works for everybody, but we gave a smartphone to our daughter being now 12 years old. But I decided to spend a lot of time. I spent about 2.5 hours putting guardrails in place the day I set up the phone to make sure that when she has access to it, all the guardrails, all the safety features are in place. And well, I found it very difficult to do it, right? And then we can make a hypothesis why it's so difficult. I'm not gonna get too much into that, but I think it's a responsibility we all have to put pressure in the governments around the world and make sure those companies make it easier for parents to put these safety features in place. So I'm going to walk you through step by step on how to do it, okay? First of all, I also want to say I strongly recommend a Netflix documentary called The Social Dilemma. I will leave the link here, the image, so you can search on your Netflix. And this documentary was eye-opening to me. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I said, if I do that, I need to put guardrail in place, because it makes very clear that the problems with social media are the algorithm is based on attention. So it does everything it got to do to keep us glued to the screen, keep us, addicted to that thing, scrolling hours and hours and hours. So that's how those companies are making money nowadays. Unfortunately, it's based on attention. The more time we spend on the screen, the more money they make. And to do that, they feed the algorithm with hate, with topics that are extreme topics, with topics that are unfortunately very unhealthy for our mental health, for our emotional health, right? And now you think about all of this, the impact that this has for adults like us, and think about the impact that this has on teenagers, on kids. But you can search by yourself what is the impact of social media in teenagers, and it's dramatic. So I'm very in favor of what a couple of countries are starting to do. We saw that in Australia, where Australia prohibited social media for kids under 16 years old, and that's a little bit my philosophy. I don't want my kids to have social media at all until they are way older. So let me show you, and I'm gonna put some of the screenshots here. The first thing you gotta do, and all of this is how you set up the screen time features on an iPhone. So in this case, it's an iPhone platform. If you're using a different one, I think some of the ways of doing are gonna be different. But I can point you, I leave here a link on the video description to a website that has also other platforms, how you do this on a Galaxy phone or a Google phone and all of that. So the first things you're gonna do is to create your own family on the iPhone. And I'm gonna put here the screenshots on how you do that, how you create your family on the iPhone. You're gonna have to add there your kid, and you can also add your spouse to be one of the parents as well. You do not need to be the sole parent on the family for the iPhone. Once you do that, you're going to go to this, you're gonna click on the settings, that gear icon, and then you're gonna scroll down to a portion that says screen time. And then on the screen time, you're gonna click on, you have several options there. You have downtime, you have app limits, you have allowed, what is not allowed, and everything. So that is the most important feature of this screen time, because you can start to control how much time you want to give to your kids on the phone. That's one of the first problems. Make sure they do not spend hours and hours and hours on this. You want to make sure you give them some time, some appropriate time. So if you click, for example, on that app limits option, the first thing you got to do there is to scroll to the right, activate that feature, and then it's gonna open a box underneath that says all apps and categories, and then you click there, you can select how much time you're gonna allow your kids to use it every day. For my daughter, I put 1 hour and 15 minutes. That's it. That's what she has. I will explain later to you how you do it. For example, but what if she wants to call me and she already used the 1 hour and 15 minutes? What if she wants to text me? You can allow certain apps to be outside of this limit. So let me show you. That's a very important feature. First of all, I would really start here. How much time you want to allow your kid to use the phone. The other thing is you have an option there that says downtime, and once you click on downtime, it's going to allow you the option to limit which times of the day this kid can use the phone, right? So you turn it on, for example, the schedule, and you click there, turn it on, downtime until schedule. You can put, for example, every day. In my case, I limited the utilization of the phone from 7 a.m., which is pretty much the time she's awake, preparing to go to school, and she needs to coordinate a little bit of a walking. It's a short walk to the school with her friends. So they do that coordination over text message many times. So I allowed like 7 a.m. up to 9:30 p.m. So when it comes 9:30 p.m., it's gone. All features of the cell phone are disabled. She cannot use it anymore. A very important feature to avoid scrolling iPhones, scrolling cell phones when they go to bed, okay? First of all, I don't even allow that, because when my daughter goes to bed, she needs to leave the cell phone with us. So give it back to me, give it back to my wife. But in the case that, she grabs and I don't see it, it's not going to work anyways, okay? So downtime is another extremely important feature. Let's keep going here, and we are going to what is allowed, right? So you have an option there that says always allowed. What is allowed? So you can navigate here. You can say, for example, contacts. How do I know that nowadays? Think about us, right? How many messages and phone calls we receive a day that are simply scams, phishing messages and things like that. So how can I avoid that for my kid? The way to do that is the contacts. You can specify which contacts they're going to be able to communicate with. And then in my case, I put contacts, specific contacts. So the ones that she actually added, she actually knows it is her friends. It has a name, it has a surname, it is somebody that she actually knows. If an unknown person texts her, she's not going to be able to reply to that text. And here's the feature that I mentioned before. So when you look at apps that are always allowed, even when there's downtime, you can put certain apps. So I added phone, maps, and camera, right? In case she needs to take a picture or something. But maps is very important in case she's lost or she needs to use maps for some reason. In case she needs to call me, call her mom, she can do that even outside of the downtime that I put in place. Okay, so that's another important feature, good feature. And as I said, these things are not so easy, right? So that's why it took me more than 2 hours to set up this phone for her. Hopefully it's going to take way less for you. Communication limits. So if you keep going that previous screen, you have an option there for communication limits. What is allowed for communication during screen time, if there's anything allowed during downtime, and managing her contacts. right? That's an important feature as well that allows me to manage her contacts. So she cannot add a contact without asking for my permission. That's another very important feature. Otherwise, they start adding contacts of people that I don't even know, or there's people that I'm not very much in favor that they walk with. So in order to add a contact, she needs my approval, she needs my permission. If we keep moving on here, there's another feature says communication safety. This one I activated there. These are a couple of safety features provided by Apple. I believe these are good, so I activated. Having said that, as you can see here in the video, there's a lot of manual steps. You need to do it yourself, because don't take Apple's word as true. When you set up the phone, and I did write that for her, it says, how old is your kid? And I put like 12 years old. And there was a screen up front saying, don't worry, we're going to take care of, in other words, don't worry, we're going to take care of the safety features for your kid. Yeah, but they do very little, very little. Most of the safety features are deactivated. So you need to activate by yourself. Okay, so screen time. Screen time is one of the most important options here as well. So going back to screen time, you're gonna click on content and privacy restrictions. You're going to select that option. And then as you can see here, you are able to select options for pretty much everything from App Store. I want to make sure in my case she's not able to download any apps without my permission. So how I do that, I click in that first option there, iTunes and App Store purchases. And I put here, yeah, it says she's allowed to install apps, delete apps. She's not allowed to purchase anything inside the app, but more importantly, my password is always required to do all of these things. So if she needs to install an app, she needs my password. She's gonna have to talk to me, and I will obviously never share my password with her. I will approve by myself. If I think the app it's safe enough for her, okay? As I said, I would never approve at this age social media, so she's not allowed to have social media. And there are certain apps that, even not being social media, games and things like that, certain games are very violent. I do not approve. So that's how you make sure the kid needs your approval to install any apps. So if you keep going here as well, the other feature you see there is which apps are allowed. I kept pretty much all of those. I removed the CarPlay because obviously she doesn't drive and she doesn't need to use CarPlay. And also removed the news app. That's removed. She did not even see on her iPhone because I don't want her to be seeing the news. We know the news nowadays, 95% is terrible, is negative news, and it really doesn't produce any positive influence on my kids, so I don't want that. So if you keep going, another option is when you select that App Store, Media, Web, and Gaming option there. So here is important so you can navigate through every single one of those to make sure you select the right parent guidance for each of those types of media, right? So movies, for example, she's 12 years old, so I do not allow the PG-13. We just go with PG. TV shows the same. Books need to be clean. App clips, I don't allow because sometimes those app clips are also extremely violent. I did allow apps 13 plus because some of the very basic apps, they are considered 13 plus, and for her, she's gonna need my approval anyways before she installs any apps. We are gonna deep dive now into web content. In my opinion, this is one of the most important features because it's not a matter of just going there and saying, let's limit adult websites. You gotta do more than that. to protect your kids. So once you click their web content, yes, you want to limit other websites because we're talking about kids. But you, in my opinion, you also need to go and select the websites you are never going to allow. So, and this is the point where it becomes a lot of work, but manually you click on never allow, and you're gonna have to type in the address of each website your kid is not gonna be allowed to search. If I don't do that, what is the point of blocking social media? It's not gonna work. If you don't do this, social media, guess what? Your kid is very smart, I'm sure. He or she is gonna figure out a way to get access to social media via browser. So okay, my dad doesn't let me have the Instagram app, but I can go on Safari or Google Chrome and I can type in Instagram.com and I have access to Instagram. To avoid that, you need to type in Instagram.com in that never allowed box, okay? You can see that I added a bunch of websites. Instagram is there, is never allowed, TikTok never allowed. And then I also added news websites. I don't want her to have access to news websites. So very important feature. And then finally, last but not least, if you go to that App Store, you see that App Store media option there. You have the Game Center. What is allowed, what is not allowed. In my case, I prefer to avoid, for example, adding friends, connecting with friends, because we know gaming setting can also be extremely unsafe for kids, and you never know who is playing on the other side of the world. Who is this person? Maybe is an adult impersonating a child and all of that, right? So I really try to limit access to all of that on Gaming Center as well. So I know it's a lot, but hopefully you're going to benefit from this. You're not going to be losing 2.5 hours like I did. Hopefully you're going to be able to set up your kid with safety and secure features in less time than that. So if I missed something, or if there's another features that I didn't mention, please leave here on the comments section. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. I talk a lot about human development overall, philosophy, positive psychology, career development, career coaching, personal development. So integral theory, all those topics are very, very close to my heart. And obviously social media, because I strongly believe this platform where I have my video is a social media platform. If we go back to the roots of the internet and why internet was created, we can definitely use the good side of social media to promote education and to promote human flourishing, human development. So let's do it together, and let's start by protecting our kids. Have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you.